What so far, I realize there hasn't been a whole lot of time since this draft opinion of the court was leaked, but what is corporate America saying at this point? And what they say is critical to what's going to happen. Judd Legum at Popular Information already has some answers. And he points out something that has been true about any kind of social justice or the desire for it or the lack of it in this society, and that is that corporations can play critical roles in, well, for example, pushing back against some sort of action by a government that undermines fundamental rights, which is what has happened with the Supreme Court. And Judd points out, for example, here in Georgia, a few years back, 2016, 6 years ago, there was a bill passed here by the Georgia legislature that would have allowed private businesses to refuse to serve lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender people. No, seriously, a bill was passed here in Georgia that said, well, you know, if you have a coffee shop and somebody comes in, and I mean, how the fuck are you supposed to know if they're gay or trans or whatever? What do they say? Drop your trousers, lift your skirt? I mean, what the fuck? But this is what the Georgia legislature did. So as a result of that bill being passed, Disney and Netflix threatened to boycott the state if it became law. And not just Disney and Netflix. The Hollywood production companies that have set up here in Atlanta and made Atlanta just about the number 2 film production, television production center in America. It's right here. L.A., Atlanta. So Disney and Netflix said they would boycott the state. When it finally got to the Republican governor at the time, Nathan Deal, who was another dolt. We just have the ability here in Georgia to elect half-wits. But Nathan Deal vetoed the bill. Not because he saw anything wrong with what the legislature had passed. What the fuck, it was passed by his people. But because of the economic threat. Ooh, well, you see, the Christian fascists, they will buckle if they're told it's going to affect their pocketbook to a certain degree. They don't have any respect for their God or their Jesus. That's a bunch of bullshit. So anyway, that same year, 2016, North Carolina passed a law that prohibited trans people from using the bathroom. Remember that? It was all centered in Charlotte, North Carolina, and the Charlotte City Council said, no, fuck no, we're not going to go along with that. And the law prohibited trans people from using a bathroom to go pee, for God's sake, a bathroom that was consistent with their own personal gender identity. The law also repealed and banned local laws that protected LGBTQ people from discrimination. So corporations responded by pulling investments from the state, including a PayPal facility. Now, remember, PayPal is set up, owned, operated, whatever. I don't know if he's still in charge, by a right-winger. But a PayPal facility that was projected to generate billions in economic activity were among the companies, the corporations that said, no, fuck no, we're not going to play with this. We're not going to play in this playpen. We're pulling out. Well, North Carolina repealed the law during the next session of their legislature. Bit of boom, bit of bang, that quick. So now, as Judd points out, we have a Supreme Court that's poised to remove constitutional protections for women seeking the privacy to make a decision that is a profound decision, one that requires the woman to confront, well, only she knows what when she makes a decision. And this fucking Supreme Court says, well, no, we're going to stick our big ass noses right into that. And we're going to tell you that no matter the struggle you may be going through to make a decision, fuck it, you're not going to make that decision. I mean, the arrogance of this, the arrogance of what these 5 justices seem to have decided is just I mean, it's thick. It's gooey. It's sticky. It's like the dreams you have when a monster's chasing you and you can't seem to get your feet to move fast enough so you can run away from the son of a bitch. That's what the Supreme Court has done. They put the feet of every single woman in America into the muck. At the same time, these states out here, run by fascist Christians, have passed legislation that will ban all abortions as soon as the Supreme Court issues its decision, which is supposed to be in June. And the New York Times has noted, quote, abortion is a business issue because women make up half of the workforce. End quote, New York Times. Yeah. So what does corporate America have to say? Well, at this point, mostly nothing. Nothing at all. As Judd points out, almost all corporations are staying silent, hoping to avoid controversy. The New York Times received no comment from PricewaterhouseCoopers, from Oracle, J.P. Morgan Chase, Walmart, Disney, Meta, Airbnb, Third Love, Kroger, and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. So far, shh, don't say anything. Be quiet. Shh. Maybe this shit will blow over. Don't say anything. So what Judd put together at his website, exceptions to that rule. He's cataloged the corporations that have spoken out or taken action in anticipation of abortion bans being imposed in numerous states. And he lists some of them. And the most robust statements about the Supreme Court's anticipated decision, let's be fair, overturning Roe v. Wade, was issued by the Levi Corporation yesterday. And the statement was headlined, Protecting Reproductive Rights, a Business Imperative. And here's an excerpt. Quote, this is from the Levi Corporation, quote, access to reproductive health care, including abortion, has been a critical factor to the workplace gains and contributions women have made over the past 50 years. Further restricting or criminalizing access will jeopardize that progress and disproportionately affect women of color, putting their well-being at risk and impeding diverse hiring pipelines. Women in some states would have fewer rights than women in others, and our country would be consigned to a more unjust and inequitable future. What's more, companies would need different health policies for different locations, including coverage for time off and travel across state lines to ensure employees can access reproductive health care. We know this is a fraught conversation. It's not something we enter into lightly. But women make up 58% of our global workforce, and in recent years, numerous employees have expressed to leadership their growing alarm over the rollback of all forms of reproductive care. End quote, part of a statement from the Levi Corporation. And Levi added that consistent with its existing policies, quote, Levi Strauss & Company employees are eligible for reimbursement for healthcare-related travel expenses for services not available in their home state, including those related to reproductive health care and abortion, end quote. The Levi Company also is extending that benefit to hourly employees that don't receive company health care. And the statement from Levi Strauss concludes with this, quote, given what is at stake, business leaders need to make their voices heard and act to protect the health and well-being of our employees. That means protecting reproductive rights, end quote. And then the CEO of Virgin, Richard Branson, he posted a statement on the company's corporate website entitled, "Their Bodies, Their Choice." And here's an excerpt from that. This is from Richard Branson. Quote, "Deeply concerned by reports of a leaked draft document suggesting the U.S. Supreme Court would likely overturn Roe v. Wade, the 73 landmark decision that established the right to an abortion across the United States. Let me be clear where I stand. I think everyone should have the right to a safe abortion if they choose to have one. It's a personal choice that no government should interfere with. If so-called pro-life advocates are really concerned about abortions, there are far more effective ways to keep numbers low. Lift people out of poverty and improve their access to education and economic opportunity. Inform young people about their reproductive rights and choices. Make contraceptives widely available. And take a stand against misogyny and sexual violence wherever you can. Banning abortions is poor policy with fatal consequences." End quote, Richard Branson. And in addition to Levi's, 3 other companies, Amazon, Citi, and Yelp, announced they will pay for employees to travel to obtain an abortion if they're unable to get one, where they live. And while these announcements were made prior to the leak of the Supreme Court ostensible decision, they were made in anticipation of a legal environment in the United States where local abortion access is going to be difficult, if not impossible, for employees to obtain. Now, these policies recognize the obvious necessity of access to abortion. Whether or not a woman avails herself of an abortion is nobody's goddamn business, but except hers, but access. So that's what these policies recognize from these companies, but they also underscore how, as Judd puts it, restrictions on abortion disproportionately impact the least well-off. Someone with a job at a major corporation might continue to have access to abortion, but someone making sub-minimum wage as a waiter at a local restaurant is going to lose access. And even for those who are able to maintain access through these travel subsidies, it's still going to add a tremendous burden to an already difficult process. Judd points out that 2 of the companies providing this benefit, this travel benefit, Amazon and Citi, have donated extensively to committees that support anti-abortion candidates at the state and federal level. This is the part that drives me crazy. They mouth something at their websites and they make a promise. Yeah, okay, well, we'll pay for you to take a Greyhound or an airplane and go get your abortion. But we support anti-abortion candidates who are instrumental in having this happen. What the fuck? I mean, just when you start to think, not you, just when I start to think, well, maybe there's something about corporate power that can be trusted. Because I see that some of these corporations are now weighing in against what the Supreme Court apparently has decided. And I let my guard down. I think, well, maybe they could be trusted. And then I find out that not only are they saying this with their mouths, but with their money, they're supporting political candidates who are anti-woman. That's what this is. It's not anti-abortion. What the fuck? It's anti-woman. It's anti-privacy. It's anti a person's personal sovereignty about what they do with their own bodies. And I'm not going to make the worn out example of, what if laws were passed or a Supreme Court decision was reached that had to do with men's sexuality or men's reproductive rights. Well, obviously, yes, that would never happen. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.